Have you ever really thought about how your brain organizes numbers? It's kind of weird, but most of us have this secret, invisible number line floating around in our heads. So the big question is, are we born with it, or is it something we just learn? Well, today we're going to find out. All right, let's try a little experiment right now. Seriously, go ahead and close your eyes for a second. Picture a number line. You got it? Okay. Now, on that line in your head, where did you put the number 1? And what about 100? Where did that go? Okay, so if you're like pretty much everyone, you probably pictured something just like this. 1 is over on the left, and 100 is way, way over on the right. It just feels right, doesn't it? Almost totally automatic. Yeah, there's actually a name for this whole thing. It's called the mental number line. Think of it like an internal map that our brain uses, totally on its own, to represent numbers in space. It just automatically links smaller quantities to one side and bigger ones to the other. But that gets us right to the heart of the mystery here. Is this left-to-right map something we're just born with? Is it part of our basic mental wiring? Or is it just a habit we pick up from the world around us? So this really sets up the big debate, right? Is it a learned habit or is it an innate trait? On one hand, it could totally be a cultural thing we get from, reading and writing from left to right. But on the other hand, what if it's something way deeper, something that's hardwired into our brains right from birth? And for a really long time, the learned habit theory had some super strong evidence going for it. I mean, think about it. People who speak languages like Arabic, which you read from right to left, often have a mental number line that's completely reversed. So, seems like an open and shut case for culture, doesn't it? Well, maybe not so fast. Because to really solve this, you need to find a mind that's completely untouched by culture. No reading, no school, no formal math. A mind that could show us what the pure, biological default setting is. But how on earth could you possibly do that? Well, you find a very unlikely detective, a 3-day-old baby chick. Yeah, I'm serious. They can't read, they've never been to school, but as a group of scientists discovered, they have some pretty shocking cognitive skills. Okay, so here's how the experiment worked. It was broken down into 2 really simple steps. First, there was the training. The chicks learned to connect a specific number of dots with a tasty food reward. Then came the test, where they were shown 2 identical panels and had to choose which one to check for that food. So, in the first run of the experiment, scientists trained the chicks with a panel that had exactly 5 dots on it. The chicks quickly learned that behind this 5-dot panel, there was a reward. So 5 became their magic number, their reference point. All right, now for the real test. The reward is gone. The chicks are shown 2 identical panels. Sometimes both panels showed 2 dots, which is obviously a number smaller than 5. Other times, both showed 8 dots, a number bigger than 5. Now, with no other clues at all, where would they go looking for that food? And the results were just fascinating. Check this out. When they were shown the smaller number, 2, the chicks went for the left panel a whopping 71% of the time. But when they saw the larger number, 8, they consistently went to the right. Wow. The researchers, a team led by Rosa Rugani, they put it really simply. The chicks were, on instinct, mapping numbers onto space. Smaller numbers to the left, larger numbers to the right, just like we do. This was a huge discovery. But this just opened up an even deeper question. See, one of the key things about our human mental number line is that it's relative. The number 8 is big compared to 5, but it's pretty small compared to 20. So, is the chick's number line just some fixed rule? Or is it flexible and context-dependent, just like ours? To figure that out, the scientists came up with a really brilliant follow-up experiment. They got a whole new group of chicks, but this time they trained them that the target number for the food reward wasn't 5, it was 20. Okay, so just to recap, in that first experiment, the target was 5. And in that context, the number 8 was obviously the larger number. And because 8 was larger, the chicks almost always went to the right. Okay, that fits perfectly with what we found the first time around. Simple enough. But here's the twist. With the new target of 20, the number 8 is now a smaller number, right? So, what are the chicks going to do? Will they still go right for the number 8, or will they change their minds? It's incredible. This time, when they were shown the number 8, they went to the left. They completely flipped their behavior just based on the new context. Okay, this slide right here is the big aha moment. Just look at the data for the number 8 side by side. When the target was 5, they almost always went right. But when the target became 20, they totally flipped and went left over 70% of the time. The number itself, 8, didn't change at all, but its meaning did. It's all relative. So this whole thing reveals something absolutely incredible. It's not just that chicks have a number line. That's cool, but it's more than that. Their number line is relative and flexible, just like ours is. They automatically map numbers into space depending on the context. And get this, they're doing all of this when they are only 3 days old. So, what does this all point to? Well, it strongly suggests that our mental number line isn't just something we get from culture. It looks a lot more like an ancient biological blueprint for how to organize information, something that's been built into the brains of animals over millions and millions of years. You know, scientists have a term for this, a universal cognitive strategy. It's basically a fundamental way of making sense of the world that isn't special to humans. It's a shared tool, one that's deeply embedded in the very architecture of a lot of different animal brains, including our own. And that leaves us with a really fascinating final thought, doesn't it? If something as abstract as a number line has roots that are so ancient, so biological, what other abilities that we think of as uniquely human are actually ancient blueprints we share with pretty much the entire animal kingdom?